Good morning, everybody. Good to see such a great crowd here. So in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to try and share what we've been doing at Williams to try and take motorsport, what we've been doing in the last 3 years, try and project it to other industries and what we want to try and do over the next 3 to 5 years. So what is Williams Advanced Engineering? So we sit on the same campus with the Formula One team. The objective is that we handle pretty much everything that is not Formula One. There always used to be an idea that when Williams took on something else in the past that distracted the Formula One team, you could see the results in the races very quickly. We are trying to take that problem away, and we're trying to say, well, we've got a lot of facilities, we've got a lot of know-how. How do we use that in other industries? So we call ourselves the advanced technology part of the business. So for the last 12 years or so, just tried to sort of map out the sort of journey of it. So starting with performance cars, and essentially the company started with 2 projects, as I'll show in the next slide, and then trying to diversify. Electrification has been a big part of that theme. One-off demonstrator cars, then out into military innovations. We've got our fridge foil project where we improved the energy used in fridges. Formula E has been a big part of what we've done. Electric supercars has been a big part of what we've done. Syngenta there on the right is an agricultural system for applying weed killer essentially to fields as you put things out, and trying to use computational fluid dynamics to improve the efficiency of the yield of applying chemicals to fields. So a real story of trying to diversify. So in numbers, going back 5 years pretty much to 2012, we started with 2 projects. One, the CX-75, which was the picture on the last slide, and the other, a motorsport program essentially based in the wind tunnels that we had available to us. We've then tried to reach out to other industries. So we find automotive and motorsport by far the easiest. Motorsport is obvious, people get that. Automotive, they're cars, people sort of get that. You've got to try a lot harder with defense and aerospace. And energy, where you're trying to talk to the energy providers and develop that. But you can see that by 2015, we got ourselves up to 24 projects, and by 2017, we are at 47 projects at the moment, and also diversifying where it is. So the objective is to try and get motorsport and automotive into only 50% of the business, if we can, with the rest of it being driven by aerospace, defense, energy, health, other sectors as we go forward. So the push for growth so far, what has it been about to try and draw some lessons from the past? So the first challenge is just making people aware that we actually exist, because everybody's heard of Williams as a Formula One team. The response we get so often is, well, I didn't know they did any engineering, I didn't know they did other stuff. So just getting out there and showing people that we exist is by far and away the biggest challenge. The 4 pictures on that slide are tweets from our very great marketing team, so continually pushing out tweets and pushing at the media. Anything that seems interesting to them has been very much part of the journey. And also, to be honest, selecting projects where we can find them that look like they've got a PR element to it has been another part of what we've done. So the 2 top ones on there are this fridge that I mentioned earlier, and the basic idea here is putting aerofoils on the front of open-fronted shelves. It stops the cold air coming out into the aisle. You get a 30% improvement in the efficiency of the fridges. 30% efficiency in a fridge, so what? 5% of national energy generation goes into supermarkets. They reckon about half of that energy goes into their fridges. If you discard the fridges where you can open it, you've still got about 2% of national energy generation going into these fridges. If you can make it 30% better, suddenly you've got a 0.6% of national energy generation saved. So you can create a story, you can create momentum out of that sort of a thing. The thing on the top right was Baby Pod, again a project that we sort of selected and found fortuitously, and there's a lot of fortune to this, but then we sort of pushed at it hard. And essentially it's a carbon fibre crib that gets put into ambulances to move babies from either crash scene or between hospitals. So we actually make that in the Formula One factory, and again, the sort of media attention and projection you can get out of a story like that, Formula One helps babies, is great sort of thing. So we're very much pushing for that sort of stuff. So market awareness driven by the F1 brand. Yes, we do sit behind the F1 brand, and we recognise how fortunate we are in having that great brand, and that is definitely a help, and that's just, you know, a fortune that we have. Technology driven by the F1 capability. So again, what we have tried to do so far is very much pick on things that people will understand from Formula One, and say, well, we can apply that technology to your other industry. Has been a key part of it. Facility deployment, the story that as a Formula One team we have facilities, we can use that on your project, has been the other thing. And to be brutally honest, we've been very opportunist and reactionary in our approach so far, and that is something we do want to try and change. So I've spoken about baby pods. It's lightweight design in carbon fibre. That's where they came to us. It leads to production supply. The one on the left is a military device that really they wanted to use our wind tunnel, but by getting connection with Thales on that to use the wind tunnel, it grew into a design project and eventually a supply project. So turning to what we want to try and do now over the next 5 years, and hopefully I can sort of draw out some interesting lessons for that. So we want to try and position the business clearly around some capabilities. So what is the capabilities that we have? So aerodynamics and thermodynamics, people get that. Formula One team will have aerodynamics and thermodynamics capability. Energy systems and technology, so that is the electric vehicle, motors, electronic control systems, batteries, coming originally out of the kinetic energy recovery systems for Formula One, but moved beyond it as a key capability, and finally lightweight structures, people can get that. So we base the business about, okay, what is it that we can do? We can do those three things. And then we need to invest in technology ourselves that sits outside of Formula One to show how do those things get developed by us, yeah? But we're not intending to move away from motorsport. You know, we are a motorsport program, and we mentioned culture early on in this, and I think we are also of the view that motorsport culture trumps strategy at the end of the day. So we have to stay can-do, responsive, agile, innovative. And that generally means if you come to a motorsport company, they always say, yes, we can do it in some sort of silly timescale. That's essentially why people come to motorsport in our experience. And we have to sort of try and stay true to that. So a good story about trying to take capability into automotive is this one. So the kinetic energy recovery system, we first moved outside of that to design a battery and a control system for CX-75. Then we went into Formula E to design the battery system for that series, and now we're supporting the Jaguar entry into that series. So that gives you this great pedigree of development and history in electrification. So that's allowed us to do a battery pack for a high-performance car for VW. So we've designed, made, built, shipped those batteries for prototypes to VW Group. We have demonstrated an electric car for Aston Martin and with their partner to get it into production. And the vehicle at the bottom is actually a electric hybrid handling for grave digging, for moving snow, for all those sort of things in an urban environment where they need electric operation in the early hours of the morning and in late night. So we've designed a battery system for that. So you can move into diverse industries with that sort of a change. We also produce a lot of sort of stories, particularly aimed at sort of aerospace, military type people, about how can you actually deal with a motorsport company. What are the sort of ways you can deal with it, and describing what we do. So we do applied engineering. So we can take an engineering problem and sort it out for you. We do performance and analytics, so we can look at things within your business, we can analyze that performance, we can give you data for that. We get involved in technology ventures. The aerofoil project I spoke about was a technology venture, so if you have a brand new technology and you'd like to incubate it, we can help you with that. We do research and technology, so again, if you've got something you'd like to look into, we can do that for you. And we can do manufacturing and assembly. So we're trying to create this matrix of here's our capabilities and here's how the different groups within your organization can deal with us. If you're dealing with a Thales, you know, this is a sort of multinational groups all around the world, centers dealing with all sorts of things. You've got to sort of try and give them a roadmap as to how could they deal with a 200-person outfit sat in Oxfordshire somehow. So you've got to sort of help bridge that gap, and that's part of what we are trying to do. I mentioned investment. So we have taken the view that we have to move beyond just being able to say, well, look, Formula One invests a lot of stuff, it's a great R&D thing, to saying, well, we've invested in some things, to say, how can Formula One apply to other things? So a few sort of pictures up there involving how can you do the skateboard electric vehicle better using carbon fibre and other control things? How can you design battery modules better? How can you do a wheelchair better? And that's an electric wheelchair, and that's trying to leverage the experience we've had in very lightweight motors from KERS and Formula E. So how can we make a motor lighter for a wheelchair? And then how can we make composite construction cheaper as well? So we're sort of trying to invest in that so we can take solutions to our customers. And I recognise that's easier for us, a relatively big company, but wherever you can sort of take some investment forward, that works. So just to try and summarise what we're going to try and do going forward, it's a bit of a case study. So we want to expand capabilities targeting at sectors. We're investing in technology demonstrators, and we've tried very hard to support that with grants wherever we can, because we're not that big a company, so we need grants. So Innovate UK have supported us a lot in 3 or 4 different projects that we are doing, helping us put together consortiums and drive that. We've also applied for APC funding as well, and they have supported us with that as well. And I think we have found in our experience of dealing with Innovate UK and APC, they are super supportive of motorsport type companies, super supportive of initiatives that we can do, that their hunger tends to be fresh ideas, what is it we could go and do. We want to expand our ability to produce low volume niche products, so a little bit more manufacturing than just doing engineering. And then the partnership we have set up with an investment fund, which is whereby there is a fund available to go invest in new startup companies. We are hoping will give us fresh ideas for innovations that we can bring to the market through the motorsport applications. Foresight is a city finance company that funds new startup companies. So I think that's all I want to say within my time. I think I'm just about getting red cards at the back there. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking at the panel session.